All right, on today's episode, let's look at and review this recently released portable stereo from Retekess. I spent several days testing it and I found a few decent features and one feature that was a bit disappointing. The CD Boombox from Retekess, model number TR642. This is what's next. I'm excited. Retekess sent this one over, but just to let you know, they sent it for the purpose of review, but they have not reviewed the video before I posted this, and all the opinions you're going to hear are of my own. So with that being said, let's take a look at the box. Retekess radio CD Boombox player with cassette recorder. We have a CD, tape, bass, AUS instead of aux. Spell check issue there. USB, TF card, and then that is the design. If we look at the top, it says Retekess. There's some additional information there. It looks like 5 volts and 2 amps. Nothing on the back. We have a battery warning on this side and nothing on the bottom. So I think with that being said, let's get this thing unboxed. Looks kind of boxy. We have a pretty big user manual. Probably, I'm going to guess, multiple languages. We'll look at that in a moment. And then what I want to do is get this out. It looks like I see no styrofoam at all on this. It's all recyclable materials. Cardboard here. We have a cardboard on this side. And oh, what's this? We got a couple other accessories, it looks like. We have our remote control, we have our aux cable, and then we have a USB-C to USB-A connection. Before we look more at that product, here are the specifications. It is battery powered, so it does have a battery, 3 watts per speaker. There is your Bluetooth information, the frequency range for AM and FM. The impedance of the speaker is 4 ohms. There are the dimensions. There is the weight. That is enough. Let's get this unsleeved from the plastic here. All right. There is the unit itself. I'm already seeing what this would probably be used for. Definitely a secondary system, maybe in a rec room or workshop. Actually, now that, I said it wasn't heavy, but it feels good. Feels well built. Cassette mechanism opens up pretty quick. The buttons seem pretty solid. All right, that's good. There is your CD player on the top there. We have some buttons. At this angle here, I kind of like the look of that. Speakers are on either side. Looks like they have a base port. The rechargeable battery goes there. Decent feet. Let's test that real quick. Yeah, that actually stays put pretty good. On the back, we have our antenna. There is a headphone jack, an aux in, USB, micro SD, TF card slot, Type-C connector, and a button here maybe for power. That being said, I think it's, and the handle's pretty decent, so I like that. With the 2 screws undone, there you go. We have the panel here, and it looks like the battery, looks like it's a pack. All right, some finagling, but there you go. That's the battery pack, and it does look like they have a connection down there at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. So there you go. That's the battery. So hey, for those of you that never really like rechargeable batteries in a unit, you know that this one is replaceable. We do have some cellophane to protect the top. We have another thing down here. There we go. Set that off to the side. Get the paper sleeve out. Looks like it's the standard ball bearing spring mechanism here, and it is somewhat shock mounted. So that's good. Looks like we have some LED lighting on either side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to close that. Well, I wanted to test the battery, and we currently have a full charge. It is 8:54 on a Wednesday morning, about ready to log into work. So we're going to be playing some tapes, some CDs and radio throughout the day, and we're going to see how long does this battery last. Will it last all day, or how much of the battery is still available to me by the end of my workday? So that's what this test is going to be. Well, here we are. Retekess is still playing. About 8.5 hours later, we are at half on our battery. I have been playing CDs, tapes. I've connected up via Bluetooth. I've had the lights running the entire time. No breaks. And so here we are, 8.5 hours later. This thing is still playing. So we've tested the battery, but we haven't really talked about the unit. Let's go ahead, head back downstairs to the studio, and let's do the rest of the review. I just now noticed that I still have another one of those plastic covers right there. I took it off. I have been testing this unit from Retekess for the last 3.5, 4 days. First off, you're going to notice here we're still at half battery, and I've played more CDs and more tapes, not the 8.5 hours that I did in the first day, but ever since then, been using it still frequently, and it still has half battery. So I'm going to give that a thumbs up. Now, what we're going to do today is a little different than what I've done in the past. I'm going to start with the best features and work my way down to the less impressive feature. The items that you see here, we have the Beatles and Superman and jazz and some tapes. And the first thing that I love about this stereo is the sound quality. The sound coming out of this, while not like super high fidelity, for a portable system, that bass port that it has helps bring out some of that additional sound. Stereo separation is really good because they're both side firing, so they're going out that way. And it just, I don't know, it's just better. It's better than this other unit that I have here. Probably one of the last Sony players that was on the market, and I so happened to get this. I'll probably do a video on this later, but the sound that comes out of this thing, nowhere near as good as this. This is flat. This actually has some dynamic range. Let's do a sample from both units so you get an idea of how the sound quality goes from probably a name brand Sony system to Retekess. So that is a sample of the sound. Let me know in the comments what you think. Which one was better, the Sony or the Retekess? Now, as far as sound is concerned, you do have on the remote an EQ. So there are 4 options: flat, rock, bass heavy on that one, pop, more mid-range, jazz, kind of high and low ends are pronounced, and then last, classical. So those are the 4 options. I did not see a way to do that actually from the keys here. I believe that is exclusively with the remote. Beyond the sound, obviously, is you need something to play. The CD is probably one of the quietest CD players that I've not heard. It is running now, and I mean, I can barely hear it. There's a little bit of spinning noise. It's about on par with the Sony. As far as functionalities, control, you have your forward, backwards, your play, pause, and your stop. Same functions are roughly on here. So you have those, and again, you can use the EQ functions specific for the CD player. It does have these nice little ambient lights at the top. That is controlled here by this button. If I press and hold it, maybe that doesn't work. Where was it on here? Oh, it's bass control. There it goes. Now they're off. But on the remote, you can use your bass control, and that's what turns that on. I know that's a little weird. Bass is actually your lights. But CD player plays fine. There's no memory, so you can't store songs, but I really don't know how often people actually use that functionality. But for playing CDs, I listen to stuff like Superman, and I listen to some jazz. I also listen to the Beatles, and yes, it does not support gapless playback. So between these songs, because this is like one continuous album, no breaks in it. Well, this one applied breaks because there was that 1 second pause before it started the next track. So it does not have gapless playback. But again, as far as the CD is concerned, that function by itself with the audio, that could have been a complete system, but there's more, so let's talk about it. All right, one of the other things that I really like about this player are all the inputs you have. You have your TF card, your USB, and your aux. Your TF card and USB, that would be mainly for your digital music files, primarily MP3s. That was the only thing that seemed to play on here. I had WAV and AIFF formats. Those two just were skipped and it went right straight to the MP3. No, I didn't do ORG, Vorbis, or FLAC or any of those, but MP3 is what it seems to play. There is nothing in the book that says otherwise, so take that with a grain of salt. And the aux port, I did plug in my FIO tape deck, and there's a reason for that, and it played fine. So again, for this unit here, you could plug in other audio sources and it seems to do really well. All right, you do have two Bluetooth buttons here. The first button, the B button, takes you straight to a Bluetooth device that's already synced up, or one that you want to pair to it, and you can use this as a Bluetooth speaker. So my phone is currently connected, so that works. And then this button here is when you want to transmit from this device to another Bluetooth device, probably a bigger speaker system, bigger stereo system, whatever, but you do have that option. So far we've talked about the sound, the CD, and the Bluetooth. That all works. The functions in the back. Now let's get into some things that I'm not as excited about with this unit. All right, now we're on to the radio. AM, FM. Problem with AM is if I try to scan through this, you notice that it skips like, how many? 9 functions? It's always 9 spots. Well, there's a problem with that. Here where I live, the AM station that I listen to sometimes is 610. Well, it only falls on 612 and I cannot get that to dial in. Same thing with 700. If I wanted to go up to 700, I get 702. So it's in, if I press and hold, then it just starts scanning through it, going through every 9, and there's a problem with that. Now, as far as FM is concerned, it does go 1 at a time. It's a little harder to kind of, you got to really press that button to go forward or backwards, but the sound quality from the radio for FM works great. But that AM button kind of stinks that it skips 9 spots in the frequency every time you click the button. So for me, half win, half lose on the radio functionality. As far as sound quality is concerned, we'll turn it up really quick and see if we got anything coming in from the basement. And because of all the electronics, I'm not going to be able to get radio down here, but I will say that I did listen to the station that's on 94.7, so that works. And let's move on to the last thing that didn't go as well as I was hoping it would go. And that's right, I am talking about audio cassettes. Usually with devices like this, especially when they are limited on the manufacturer of the tape mechanism, the problem with this one is that it is nowhere near as good as I thought it could be. The wow and flutter on this just is terrible. The recording on it, I wouldn't even consider recording. Is it adequate to play audio cassettes? Yes, unless the wow and flutter is going to drive you up the wall. So for that, let's go ahead and let's listen to something from tape, and then we're going to also do a little bit of a recording sample between what this unit can produce compared to the Sony unit. All right, we'll do a sample audio from the tape deck, but I'm not going to do stereo because it's just not worth it. The tape that we're playing is a recording from the CD using one of the component stereo decks that I have upstairs. So let's take a listen to this one track from the YouTube music library. Alright, that's a sample from that tape. You can hear with that a little 1 kilohertz tone there, the wave is just really off on it. It's not, I mean, again, it's adequate if you wanted to just play a tape in the background, but the overall frequency on this thing just isn't that good as far as playback is concerned. All right, next, let's go and we're going to play back two pieces of music. It came again from the CD player. This was recorded on this deck, the first part, and then that Sony deck, I did the same exact thing. You're going to hear the difference between the two sound tape. You're also going to listen to the hiss and the background noise that you get when you record from this deck. There's the tape hiss, background noise. All right, enough of that. Let's go to the recording that we made with the Sony deck. All right, listen to the sound. Honestly, no comparison. That the Sony record mechanism is so much better than what's in here. That is probably the biggest disappointment. The one thing I do like about the unit, is I'm always looking for positivity from a unit, is the eject button. It's not like automatic throws the tape out. It's a nice mechanism. The buttons themselves feel really good. And the play has the auto stop, so when you get to the end of the tape, it will auto stop. But I'm sorry, the playback and the recording capabilities on this is lackluster at best. I would not buy this just for the tape unit itself. Maybe to play an occasional tape, that would be a thumbs up. Not great listening experience, but it works. But if you go in and you try the FiiO, actually, let's do that. I'm going to hook up the FiiO so you can get an idea of what the sound difference is between the Retekess deck and the FiiO. But we're going to play back the part of the music that came from the Sony deck, not from the Retekess. All right, I had it hooked up to the aux, so I'm going to hit function until I get to the aux input. There's the aux input. We're going to go ahead and press play. So let's put it this way. Let me bring up my mic. Let's put it this way. The FiiO is playing this tape better than the Sony and better than the Retekess. So you heard the samples. Tell me what you think in the comments. Overall, not a bad unit. There are definitely some great things about it. There aren't some things on it that aren't as good as I was hoping. But in general, not a bad unit. So that is my look at the TR642 Retekess CD Boombox. Let's take it back to the studio for my final thoughts. All right, so what's my final take? I'll tell you this. I am going to be replacing this portable Bluetooth speaker from Aldi, which has been my go-to device since purchasing it about 6, 8, 9 months ago. And you might be saying, why? Well, why not? While this one can stream Bluetooth, this one from Retekess can also play CDs and has the radio function. Also, switching functions with the Retekess, using this key here, doesn't have that annoying voice prompt like this thing.
Power on, Bluetooth, aux input, Bluetooth.
I'm sorry, man, that voice, it just drives me up the wall. So, goodbye. Getting back to the CD Boombox, I think Retekess has they've built a unique product that is easily transportable, plays some of my physical media very well. The rechargeable battery's replaceable. Come on, really? Today? That's awesome. And it has decent sound. It would have been perfect if it wasn't for that cassette deck and the AM radio. While the buttons work well, I love those, the playback of the cassette just isn't any good. If you're interested in purchasing this Retekess, I have links in the description below. Well, that's a wrap for today. If you found this episode helpful and informative, could you take a moment and click the thumbs up icon and subscribe button. To watch another episode, you can click either here or here. And until next time, I'll see you again for another episode of Hey, What's Next?